Hi, this is another short video about the engagement model and the 5 areas of engagement. So what do we mean by engagement? Engagement is possibly best defined by a quote from Barry Carpenter. It's that sustainable learning can only occur when there is meaningful engagement. The process of engagement is a journey which connects a child and their environment, including people, ideas, materials and concepts to enable both learning and achievement. My own view would be that in a practical sense, engagement acts as the bridge between the pupil and their outcome. If you look at this very simple diagram, it has 2 steps here from the Roots for Learning assessment framework. The intentional exploration of the environment and repeating an action when the first attempt is unsuccessful. If the resource, stimulus, environment, the action itself, the outcome of the action, are not motivating or engaging to that pupil, what would motivate them to initiate the action, to persist in repeating the action, or even to explore in the first place and discover that action? Understanding what actually engages a pupil in terms of their environment, stimuli, resources, activities, outcomes is absolutely vital in planning for the child to reach their next developmental steps. So the 5 areas are exploration, realization, anticipation, persistence and initiation. I'm going to go through how each of those areas are defined individually and what they might look like for the pupils that you work with. One important thing to note as we start to go through the definition of each of the areas of engagement is that previously there have been a number of different definitions of aspects of engagement or areas of engagement or lenses of engagement. Schools might have been working with any or all of these definitions. What we're now really looking for when we talk about areas of engagement are the definitions set out in the engagement model. When we begin to consider the area of exploration, what we're really looking for is the pupil to begin to build on their initial reaction to a stimulus, activity, resource or any other aspect of their environment. We're starting to look for the pupil to show curiosity or some sort of interest in that aspect of their environment and what's going on around them. In its simplest form, this might just look like a child beginning to reach out to explore an activity or explore a resource in more depth. We would consider exploration to be more established when the child shows continued interest in a resource or activity or any kind of stimuli that is presented repeatedly. So exploration is really key in identifying which stimuli, resources, activities, staff members or even physical environments are the ones which interest and motivate the pupil. This in turn is clearly going to lead to greater attention, more persistence at activities, leading to the greater acquisition of both skills and knowledge across a range of contexts for the pupil. When considering the area of realization, what we're looking for is how a pupil interacts with a brand new stimulus or activity or some kind of new aspect of a previously presented stimulus or engaging activity. This would potentially present itself through the child displaying behaviours that show they would like more control of the stimulus or activity or resource, or potentially trying to make changes to it or interact with it in some kind of different way. Familiar adults might characterise the child's behaviour with the new stimulus or the new aspect of a previously presented stimulus as looking something like excitement, delight, amazement, potentially fear or even surprise. So realisation is considered to be becoming more established when the pupil begins to use these newly acquired skills more regularly in different contexts, possibly in different environments. Realisation also obviously plays a key role in the pupil beginning to understand that a particular skill or resource or stimuli can be used across a range of contexts. The area of anticipation relates to how much a pupil predicts, expects, or associates a particular stimulus or activity with an event. This is most obviously demonstrated where a pupil anticipates a familiar activity or event beginning or starting following a particular type of cue, whether that be visual, auditory, or tactile. Anticipation would be becoming more established where the pupil began or continued to anticipate the beginning or ending of an activity even when the prompts and cues were reduced. Measuring anticipation is key in understanding the pupil's development of contingency responding and contingency awareness, as well as ultimately underpinning memory and the child's understanding of sequencing. Persistence relates to the pupil's ability to sustain their attention at an activity long enough to begin to develop skills and learn new knowledge. Persistence begins to become more established when a pupil sustains their effort, their intention, or their interaction with a stimulus or activity for an increased amount of time or begins to develop new ways of interacting with that resource or stimulus. Really, in thinking about established or more established persistence, we're thinking about the child spending long enough at an activity or a stimulus that learning begins to become embedded or a new skill developed. The measurement and recording of persistence is obviously absolutely key in identifying exactly which resources, stimuli, environment, staff that the child will maintain and persist at learning with. The area of initiation relates to how much, and potentially the different ways, in which a pupil might investigate a particular stimulus, resource or activity in order to bring about the desired outcome in that resource, stimulus or activity. For evidence of initiation in a familiar activity, we'd be looking for the pupil to initiate independently and potentially spontaneously without any kind of or with very minimal direction. We consider initiation to be more established when the pupil moves beyond contingency awareness towards a fuller understanding of how to create an impact upon their immediate environment in order to achieve a particular desired outcome. The establishment of initiation is clearly really important in the pupil developing some level of independence and certainly in developing autonomy across a range of contexts.